Ken Trahan with Lenny Vangilder. It's our First NBC Bank Weekend Review, brought to you by First NBC Bank with 32 locations throughout the greater New Orleans area and beyond. That's First NBC Bank, proud sponsor of SportsNola.com. The Pelicans return to action tonight at home against the Clippers, a high-end team in the West, a team that they can compete with, but these are typically the kind of teams they don't beat. For that matter, they haven't been beating anyone lately.
No, 0-3 since the break, couple of tough road losses, 2 winnable games in Charlotte and Washington, and Pelicans just couldn't find a way to get it done. A last-second basket, literally, with 0.3 of a second left in Washington on Saturday night, which kind of seemed to be the theme of the day on Saturday, if you will, when it came to teams from our area. But in any case, you just got to get over the hump, find a way to win a game, because this is the one game you've got at home here for quite a long stretch. After this, they'll head out for a Mardi Gras road trip. Won't be back until after Mardi Gras.
Indeed, and the problem with the Pelicans isn't that they cannot compete. They compete well, but they simply can't close. And to that end, Lenny, they really don't have a closer on this team. Anthony Davis is their best player, but he's not a guy that plays with the ball. He's a guy that plays off the ball, and typically speaking, that closer has to be a guy that has possession of the ball and can create things when it matters, when the game is on the line.
I think the one guy that you've got that's closest to that you'd want in that situation is probably Tyreke Evans, because he can drive and go create contact and ideally get to the line and make some things happen. He's the one guy that I would probably, especially with Drew Holiday being out, that I would want to see in that situation. Eric Gordon is not that guy. He's a shooter, but Brian Roberts I don't think is that guy. So that's the one guy you'd want to see in that situation, I think.
And he shot the ball very poorly in recent games, has Evans. And as for Holiday, by the way, he's now going to make the trip, apparently, the next road trip, the road trip to the West. And maybe that's encouraging about him possibly returning at some point this year. We'll see. No trades at the deadline. They are who they are. And some people are a little bit disgruntled about that. And I think for the first time, Lenny, we're having some open questions about the future of this franchise and who's going to be running it in the near future.
Yeah, and I mean, and they're legitimate questions, but it takes two to tango. And the one thing that I would say in terms of looking at trades is one guy who I think would have made sense trying to get here is maybe Danny Granger, and he still could come here perhaps if Philadelphia releases him, but. He's a New Orleans guy with an expiring contract. If you could have found, again, but it takes a partner. When Indiana had been willing to take that Eric Gordon contract or the Tyreke Evans contract or something along those lines, something that's got multiple years remaining on it, is that something someone else wants to take on at this point? And clearly that would be the types of things that New Orleans would like to move.
Yeah, good questions, to be certain. You mentioned college basketball and the heartbreaking loss for LSU at Kentucky. Pretty much leaves them with no wiggle room at all. They're 7-7, like about 5,000 other teams in the SEC, it seems. And they're going to have to win at Florida to make any noise and then make a big run in the SEC tournament to have any shot at an NCAA tournament bid.
And you listen to the experts when it comes to such things. LSU was probably falling off the bubble, but a win at Kentucky would have maybe put them back into the tournament. I mean, not in the picture, in the tournament. That's how much a difference could have made, and just how frustrating it is when you lose a game in the last seconds like they did. And that was as good a college basketball game, sans Syracuse Duke, as I've seen this year. Yeah, it was a terrific basketball game.
Yeah, they played really well, but again, their problem defending the paint arose again, allowing Kentucky to get the ball 3-4 feet from the basket for a game winner is what killed them there. Tulane, a good win as well on Saturday night. UNO continues to compete well, too.
Yeah, both of those teams over 500 in the league, and I think you would say that you didn't expect that on either front. And, Tulane's got 3 games left in the league. UNO has 4. We'll see how that plays out. Tulane with a chance to get a first-round bye in their tournament. LSU as well playing for positioning. Who knows? They could still get up to 4th and maybe get a double bye into the quarterfinals of the SEC tournament.
I think both Ed Conroy and Mark Schlesinger doing very good jobs. Different situations. Conroy having lost a whole bunch of guys who left or defected or whatever you want to call it, and he's remained competitive in his league. Schlesinger even more so because basically they had to start all over again, and this is their first year in Division I, and they're doing a really good job. From the standpoint of college baseball, LSU rolls on. They swept through the weekend, and the story here, Lenny, their defense has been terrific. Their pitching just as good, if not better.
Yeah, they've got 4 good starting pitchers to take them through a weekend and into a midweek game right now. We'll see how they all get positioned out down the road. A big Tuesday night game for them coming up, a top 10 matchup against Louisiana Lafayette. Tuesday night at the box, UL Lafayette goes to Southern Miss and sweeps this weekend. Very impressive. So Lafayette up to 10, LSU up to 7 in the Baseball America poll. A pretty intriguing Tuesday night matchup. This weekend, not an awful lot in terms of great matchups that you will see, but we're not far away from conference play really getting started. Of course, Tulane actually started conference play this weekend, winning 2 out of 3 at Louisiana Tech, and kudos to Rick Jones and his team.
Yeah, they're off to a good start. Disappointing they couldn't finish the sweep on Sunday. Southeastern won 2 up there as well in Ruston. So an early conference series for them. And as for UNO, they split 2 games with South Alabama at Zephyr Field. Cameron Hoffman hit 1 out at Zephyr Field. That's pretty impressive. The former Romulo and Delgado star. And again, their Sunday game was canceled due to bad weather, but certainly this is a more competitive team than maybe some people expected.
Exactly. And Mesa's off to a 2-3 start with his first team. Let's see. He's got Indiana State coming in this weekend, and he will get into conference play soon enough, mid-March, and obviously, it's not really something he's used to. I know a couple of years in the Sun Belt, they were playing a conference schedule when he was there, but that's a little bit different than his last go-round when they were basically an independent for those last few years.
And a game coming up at Wesley Barrow against Southern early on this week. And then, of course, a milestone at Delgado for Joe Sherman. Again, you look at his numbers, you look at the number of years he's been there. It's hard to believe he's been there that long, but to win that many games at any level is extremely impressive, and so is his team.
Yeah, keeping it going, a long winning streak now. Couldn't finish the weekend off on Sunday because of the weather that we talked about. And his Dolphins having an outstanding year, and he's done a great job. Lost a lot of guys off that team last year that got to number 1 in the nation, but has replaced them and then mixed them with some of the guys that did come back, and he's off to a great start.
Last but not least, you can follow Al Dupuy's blogs on the NFL Combine, and he wrote extensively this past weekend about it, and certainly Odell Beckham solidifying himself as a likely first-round pick by running a 4.43. The disappointment was Jarvis Landry running a 4.77, I think it was, which is very slow for a wide receiver. He's faster than that, and he's a better football player than that. I can't imagine that he ran anywhere near his best time or that he was in the best of shape.
He'll get another shot on Pro Day, and I mean that's the thing. A lot being put into the measurables that are coming out of the 4 days in Indianapolis, and understandably so. It's a chance for all of the teams to be there at one point and see all these guys under the same conditions, performing at in these different drills, from the 40 to actual live football drills. But at the end of the day, how many guys actually run 40 yards? You were talking about 40-yard dash times with quarterbacks, and somebody brought up the point. I think Drew Brees has 120-yard run in his NFL career. Tom Brady has 120-yard run. Peyton Manning 1 or 2. These guys don't run 40 yards at a time, so it doesn't. What kind of true measurable is that?
Yeah, Jadeveon Clowney running a ridiculous time, the best ever for a guy at that position. And then he had 3 sacks last year. Go figure. That's our First NBC Bank weekend review, brought to you by First NBC Bank with 32 locations throughout the greater New Orleans area and beyond. That's First NBC Bank, a proud sponsor of SportsNola.com. Don't forget Sports Nola TV coming up at 6 p.m. Monday evening. This evening here on WHNO TV, Channel 20. You'll want to check it out. Lenny, it's always a pleasure. Have a great week.
Same to you. We'll see you Friday.
And that's it, folks. Have a great week yourselves. God bless you.